Yeah, assalamu alaikum. This is Clifton Raheem Bradley from out of the United States of America, Chicago, Illinois. And you know what? This is a live stream, and I am. Let me give you a picture where I am. I am in my little studio in my basement, and I'm just sitting down here, relaxing. You know what? No guests, anything like that. And you could say that that I'm just testing some equipment. And you know what? I do. I'm trying to do everything that I can to become, a good podcaster. Because you know what? Because if you're going, because if you're gonna do this, you might as well do it right. You might as well, you know. But how did I get, so this is just a open discussion. Anybody want to talk about anything, what the Super Bowl today. Who's gonna win the Super Bowl today between Kansas City and Philadelphia? Who's gonna win? Who is the best quarterback? But I've gotten to the point sometimes with sports just does not matter to a whole lot of people like they used to. You know, actually, whether you from New York, Chicago, wherever, when your football team falls out of contention, you're like, oh wow. And you know what? I 9 times out of 10, I will. End up looking at the Super Bowl today, but it's gotten to where it's like redundant. It just does not really make that much difference to me, and I can say that it's a force. It's habit. It's habit. And you know what? But I can remember the days, we used to go get a piece and meet up with the people and watch the Super Bowl. But when I think about it, to understand people do need to be entertained, but it doesn't change the world. It doesn't change the world. Whether my Chicago Bears, okay, or your New York Giants, the Raiders in Vegas, San Diego, okay, Kansas City, Philadelphia, whether they win or lose, it's not really going to change the average individual's world. It's just not. You know, but that could be different if you gamble. You know what? Me, but me myself, because of morals and certain, religious obligations, I don't gamble. But I understand. But it was a time nobody's. I used to gamble. Well, what is going on in the news, man? You know what? But the Super Bowl is really the big story of today. But I said I'm going to talk about the news. Actually, I'm going to talk about the news and how I started my podcast. I'm interested in knowing how people started their podcasts and how did they get started? And, you might want to leave something in the chat room or something like that, or you can call up. I'm sitting here with my mixer. The funny thing is when you get into YouTube, you know what? First, I was using my phone. Okay, but I said, wait a minute, man, and you know what? There's so many content producers on YouTube. And you know what? You say, wait a minute, man. You look at yourself. You say, you know what? I'm gonna try to up my game. So I tried to up my game. You know what I got? Got a better computer, and I got an old roadcaster too. What is a roadcaster two? A roadcaster two is like the interface to use to mix in different sounds, take live telephone calls, and different. Give you an example, like what I'm getting ready to do right now. Okay, and I can do that. You know what? These are sound pads. You put, when you hey, okay, those are sound pads, and you know what? I don't utilize them too much. But why did I start on YouTube? You know, I I started on YouTube because you know what, being a community activist, you know what, back during that time period, I was a community activist. And you know what, I used to walk from door to door to door to door, and you know what, help politicians. Like, people may not be familiar with the name. I'm in Chicago. Monique Davis, state representative. I was glad to help, and I helped other ones, and Dorothy Brown, who was state clerk. But the thing is, I would say for individuals that are helping politicians, you should not do it with a motivation of looking for something for yourself. Okay, and what I mean is, you shouldn't do it. You know what, man? I'm gonna get a job. I'm gonna get a job. I'm gonna get a job. And you know what? I would say that was part of my motivation. Part of my motivation was I wanted a job, but I was so enthusiastic about politics. And what happened is I would, walk down the streets and, see somebody in despair and try to the best of my ability to, help. I don't have $1 million. I may help somebody. I direct them, direct them in a place where they can get resources. And what happened is something came to me. I was sitting down with my father. Okay, we were watching the Million Man March, okay, Minister Farrakhan. And something came, epiphany. It's like, dang, you know what? Something came to my head. I said, wait a minute. I was looking at this and I said, you know what? He's reaching a lot of people. And what happened is, I said, there's CAN TV. CAN TV is a public access TV station in Chicago. And I said, "Oh, wait a minute, man. I'm looking at the minister, and I said to myself, you know what, man? If you go down there, you call up first, see what's going on, see what's happening." Called up, and I said, "Da da 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 da. How do I become a producer?" Because it was inspired by the Million Man March, and then I said, "You know what? When I saw it, I was looking at the millions that the minister was reaching. I said, you know what? Popped in my head. I said, you know what? I said, man, I could do the same thing, but of course I couldn't do it on the level that he could do. Couldn't do that. And what happened is I got on the phone the next day. Father, that he's no longer with me, but he's always in my heart. And I called up. I'm in Chicago. I called up CAN TV. I said, hey, man, how do I become a producer? You know what I'm saying? But they told me, hey, man, you have to come down here and take classes. Okay, I had to go down there and take classes. But I'm gonna tell you the human part of it, because you know what? Everybody makes mistakes and errors. Okay. What happened is I worked for a hospital in Chicago in the United States of America. And they said the only classes we have is on Saturday. On Saturday, which they have classes on other days now. But like I said, this was something like about 20, maybe 23 years ago. And I said, oh man, you know, and what happened is I work at Jackson Park. Okay, I work at Jackson Park. It was a hospital. I'm a cook by profession. I cooked for like almost 30 years. In the military, I was a cook and a deckhand. But what happened is, I said, man, you cannot, like when you're working on a job, you have to come certain days, and everybody just wants weekends off. They want weekends off. You know, I mean, that's one of the reasons I stayed with the Chicago Board of Education for so many years because it's hard leaving a job when you get weekends off. And I said, oh, the class is on Wednesday. So what happened is, Lord knows I could have got fired for what I'm getting ready to tell y'all. So don't do the same thing I did. So what happened is I co- I went down there the first Saturday. I was off. I was off work. Okay. Okay. Not quite naturally, I had to work the next Saturday. When you work in security and a cook, when you don't get every Saturday off. I said, oh, you know what? I called in. Okay. I'm sick. You know what? Because because what happened is I wanted to produce my own television show. And what happened is I knew that if I did not take off those Saturdays and make a sacrifice, I called in sick. And I said, oh my God. I said, you could get fired. You could get fired. And what happened is the next Saturday, I was off. Okay. And then I pushed it, I pushed it and pushed it. I pushed it to the extreme. And what happened is I called off again. And all while I'm sitting down in class at CAN TV, it was at 322 South Green Street in Chicago. That's near downtown. They have a new facility at 1300 Southwood Street. And I said, man, all while I'm sitting through my last class, because I called in sick. I said, can't make it. But you had to do this for 4 consecutive Saturdays. Yeah. What happened is I'm sitting through the last class, going through the last phase to become a cable access producer. And I was like, damn. I'm sitting down in the class. I'm thinking to myself, man, you had called in sick, man. You could be fired. You could be fired. And you know what happened is, luckily, the people that believe in luck, I wasn't fired. And what happened is, I started. I'm not gonna say graduated. I completed the class at CAN TV, and you know what? I was so happy. I was so happy. But then when I went back to work, I was wondering if I was gonna be fired from Jackson Park Hospital, which is in Chicago at 75th and Stony Island. And, and so I went in, with my boss. My boss was Lynn, okay, Miss Lynn, and you know what? And Miss Darcel Walker, who was the head, okay. And I want to thank Miss Darcel Walker at Jackson Park Hospital, and she is retired now. And her husband Walker, who is no longer with us. But what happened is when I walked in, I was confronted. I was confronted. And first of all, I probably deserved to get fired because I called off like 2 Saturdays in a row. I did. And a boss said, Lan, which is the lady, she was the head of security. She said, Cliff, you can't be taking off like this every Saturday. And she said, you're not the only one that want to be off on the weekend. I said, Well, I said I knew that was my last Saturday. I said I am sorry about that. And you know what? This will not happen again. Lynn, and I forgot Lynn's last name, and Darcel Walker, who was the head of security at that particular time at Jackson Park Hospital in Chicago, at 75th in Stony Island. She sort of let me know, oh, Cliff, we ain't gonna take much of this. But you know what? But you know what? That was my last Saturday. Um, you know what? I just don't know what I would. I just don't know what I would have done if it would have been 5 Saturdays. You know what? I don't think. Not when they warn you like that. I don't think that I would have jeopardized my job. But I did jeopardize my job. But I pushed it. But I really would have been pushing it if they both came to me and warned me. And I said, you know what? I went on ahead to do it anyway. So you know what? So therefore, you never know. I never know how it would have turned out if I would have came if I would have said, you know what, I'm going to go to the next Saturday. Here, hit that HELL with them, but I wouldn't do that. But then, man, you know what? I felt good, but like I said, those warnings kind of scared me. I ain't gonna say scared me, you know. Yeah, I'm a grown man, but hey, grown men get scared too. So what happened is, I didn't take. When they gave me those warnings, I did not take off unauthorized any Saturdays at all. You know what? So I am thankful to my um my ex-employer at Jackson Park Hospital, Miss Lynn, wherever you are, thank you. And Darcel Walker, who gave me was the head of security at Jackson Park Hospital. I'm thankful to them. And I'm thankful to her for giving me the opportunity to work at Jackson Park. So I'll let y'all say, let me go ahead and finish the story. So what happened is, um, I said, man, you know what? I'm gonna start. What? I took all these classes. Okay, I said, you know what? I'm gonna start a show. I'm gonna start a show. And you know what? For the darndest of me, I could not think of a name of a television show, which I have a podcast and a television show now. I couldn't think of a name. I'm racking my brain. Should it be Houdini? Should it be the Mac? Mr. Cool? I'm playing on that. But I said, and then I sit back and thought, I sat back and I really, really thought about history. And I said, wait a minute. I know what I'm going to do because I had, I have great respect for like Malcolm X. Okay, let me see, and what's that? Harriet Tubman. You know what? I said, you know what? To surprise me because you know a bit of a chauvinist sometimes, and it surprised me because I can be sometimes. But you know what? But I try not to argue with young ladies. I get upset with the young ladies and try to over. I do everything to my ability to overlook things that they do that may be disturbing to me. And I've gotten better, mellow with age. But what happened is, I thought for some reason Harriet Tubman, who was an abolitionist that got slaves out of the South and brought them to the North. She did it through a system called the Underground Railroad. Okay, there's an Underground Railroad bookstore in Chicago. You know, I've been trying to collaborate with him, but perhaps one day he'll become a sponsor of the Underground Railroad podcast and television show. But what happened is, I said, I liked Harriet Tubman because you know what I was looking at the movie You know what? Didn't read the book. I did not read the book on her, but you know what? That would be good read. Who knows? One day may start a book club. You know what? But our Lord knows I wouldn't sign no book club where you got to read 1,000 pages. Books I generally read are like 25 or 50 pages. But it is good to be a reader and to do research. And I said, man, Harriet Tubman, and it just, you know how you doing something and it just came to you. She just came to my head. And I said, you know what? I said, I think what I do is I laid my show, Underground Railroad TV show in Chicago. And you know what? And hey, how did you name your show? How did you name your show? What was you thinking about when you said, man? Because there's so many different names that you could pick from. You know, the, my cousin and Eddie, whatever. You know, but how did you pick the name of your show? You know, what interested you about YouTube? Yeah, but getting back to the story, what happened is it was just interesting. I said, you know what? Let me name it Underground Railroad. And for those that don't know, Harriet Tubman was not the only one that was involved in 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 the abolition. And I'm not even saying it right. Y'all know my language ain't great. Okay. Freeing slaves, helping to free slaves. But it was one thing that stuck out in my mind that she said, you know, and she was taking the slaves, abolition, that's the word, you know, and she was taking the slaves back from the South, going to the North. There were slaves that wanted to go back. They wanted to go back, and she had held her gun, and she, I guess they went back. She made a profound statement, and please don't hold me to every single word she said. It's verbatim. I'm just trying to recollect. She said, "You know what?" She said, she was sitting on the train. She said, "I could have freed more if they knew that they were slaves." And you know what? Is in my that is in my subconscious mind for some reason. And you know what? That's why I named my show the Underground Railroad TV show in Chicago. You know, and it it's not something that I said when I originally took the classes. Okay, when I originally took the classes in can television to become a producer, that's not something said. I'm going to go on down there. I'm going to name it the Underground Railroad. Okay, television show. I didn't say that, you know, but the thing is, I'm interested in knowing, you know what, how did you, what made you start your YouTube show? What made you become so passionate about YouTube? Because you know what, YouTube is just so powerful in terms of disseminating messages and getting your message out to people. And the thing is, you have to, once you start this thing, you have to watch your platform, because the thing is, there are people that will say things on your platform and to jeopardize your platform because they don't care about your platform getting suspended, getting strikes, because it does not affect their world one way or the other. Now, I'm at the point where, you know what, I will have people on, but only people that are respectful to my platform, because I'm gonna share this. I'm gonna share this. This is an inside story, so I guess y'all gonna get the inside scoop. Okay. Um, you know, every if you live somewhere, you have rules and you have regulations, okay, that you should adhere to because your parents are in charge, okay, and should no child be ruling the house anyway, okay, and what happened is YouTube, they have rules and regulations about what you can say and what you can't say. And you know what? I think that's justifiable. I think sometimes because of my bias, I can say it's a little too strict, that but the thing is, my friend Darnell Glover, who trained me, he said, the thing about YouTube, you have to understand something. That is their platform. And you know what? He asked me, into do you put a dime, a nickel, or a quarter into YouTube? I'm talking about far as helping to support their platform. And I said, no. And he said, you understand something. They have a right to have on their platform what they want to have on their platform and what they don't want to have on their platform. And he said, if you don't like it, go to another platform or get you a server and create your own platform. And then I really sat down and thought about that. And you know what? He was right. But there's some people that you will invite on your podcast. And what happened is you've told them don't talk about certain things. Don't talk about certain things because this could jeopardize me losing my YouTube channel and getting a community strike, of which I don't want to get because I did not create it to cause any havoc. And what happened is, this is an inside scoop. What happened is, and I'm not going to say this person's name because you know what? That would be considered like backbite. Okay. But I can say what was done. What happened is, this person came on my podcast, the Underground Railroad podcast, and he said something about a certain race of people. Okay. And it's J. I would use the letter J. Okay. And I said, I tried everything I could to steer him away. I said, brother, we can't we can't talk like that, brother. You know, I'm on this platform. It's grace. And then what happened is he said, she said, you know what? I would never do that again. Okay. But a week passed and I had them back on. You know, it's my one. It was this. I'm just gonna say somebody I knew. Okay, what happened is 2 weeks later said the same thing, and you with the J word, either BLACK word, and you know what? What happened is I got a community strike and suspended for YouTube for like I think it was like 14 days. But you know what? I said to myself, I said, you know what? I gotta leave this person alone because when you find people that don't have respect for your platform, it goes against your best interest to let you own on your platform that you have been working years to build. I don't care if you have one subscriber, or you have 1,000 or 10,000 or 1,000,000 subscribers. It is not in your best interest to have people on your YouTube platform that you feel would jeopardize your platform. Okay. And what happened is when you hear people, and beware of people that say, man, I don't care what YouTube says. I, my platform been suspended 2 times. I'm gonna say what I want to say. And you know what? When you hear that, when you hear that, you don't say anything to the person. But you know what? You should take notes. You should take notes in your subconscious mind if you are a thinking person. Do not let them on. I'm going to say the YouTube platform, but you could have them on other platforms. I say another platform where they're not. I'm not going to say stringent. Their rules don't delegate. Don't really delegate certain things that you say, like, "Hey, don't get me wrong. I could have that person on Facebook. Okay, I could have that person on Facebook, and we could talk all day. But everybody that's looking at this on you, everybody that's looking at this on other social media networks, you know that there are more people that go to YouTube. You know, Google's is the biggest um, growing search engine in the world, and they partner with YouTube. So I can't say I won't never have that person, but once a person shows me something like that, I said something like that. Man, I don't care what YouTube does. You understand? I've been suspended. You know what? You know what? I'm a listener, and nobody hears everything. But you know what? But I hear that. I hear loud and clear. So so therefore, I'm leery. Very. I'm gonna say I don't want people on my platform that is going to jeopardize my YouTube platform. Now, Facebook, talk on Facebook. But the thing is, but like I said, but then when individuals start to talk about certain things, this is for all the people that are listening out there. You know what? That when you have people on it that are controversial, uh melancholy lady, less controversial. The thing is, it is not in your best interest to have them on your YouTube platform. And you know what? You could have them on other platform, but you know what? YouTube is the giant. It's the giant, and I, I'm going to work on probably getting a Rumble platform. I believe on Rumble, you know what, that you can just about say anything that you want to say. But you know what? But it takes time to build up a following. You know, you disagree with that, I agree with that. You know, and I'm just and so therefore, um, going back to what I originally said, why did I start on you? So what happened is when I was doing my television show at Can TV in Chicago, you know what? It's a gentleman who I consider is a colleague of mine. His name is Mark Sims, and a great show called Viewpoint. Okay, and he does a show. I think it's called Just Five Questions Now. I don't know if it's called Viewpoint. I think it's just five questions. Where he asks you five questions about what's going on, and he quit his television show. But what happened is he was talking to me. He said, "Man, you had to check out this YouTube." I was with Mr. Terry. Mr. Terry was a man that used to come on our show on a regular basis, okay, because he never disrespected our platforms. And I said, "Man, I don't even know what you're talking about." This is when YouTube was new to me. And what happened is, I said, "Oh, you know what, man? I'm gonna check out what you're saying," but I didn't check out what Mark Sims in Chicago was talking about until maybe a year later. You know, and what happened is the television show. You know, the good thing about television show and podcasting is that you have the ability to disseminate information. It gives you a voice. It gives you a voice. Now, let it be known that most people on YouTube, not all people, most people, we're we're giving information out. We're giving information out to help people in things that we deem to be good and incredible, and to help people, to guide people, and to teach people. And I want to thank all the YouTube um, producers, all of the YouTube producers that produce content about how to do green screen. I want to thank you. I want to thank Curtis Chris, brother Mr. Curtis, who does equipment, um, equipment advice. Very. I want to have him on one day. But the thing is, these content producers are brilliant, brilliant. And you know what? I learned a whole lot by looking at these brilliant and magnificent podcasts. Example, what did I learn? How to set up green screen, how to get my sound together, and what type of equipment, which I love Rode. Okay, Rode is my go-to, but I have to tell you for microphones, but I got to tell you something. But if I had the money, I would get Sennheiser, which I think Sennheiser for wireless microphones, I feel that they are the best. They're the best. But for me, Rode is what I can afford. So when you start doing this, I believe when you start creating digital content, okay, I believe that you should get the best equipment that you can afford because something. If you get something that does not cost that much money, and it's poor quality, it's not. You know what? It's not gonna last you that long. It's not gonna last you that long. And unfortunately, pointing at myself, I gotta tell y'all, I learned that the hard way. So that's why I started listening to Mr. Curtis in his and in the reviews that he gives on equipment. And he suggested Rode. And you know what? Actually, I can find Mr. Curtis on my YouTube page. He's a favorite of mine. Okay, that I love to listen to. And he does research and works audio and video cameras, anything dealing with podcasts, a video production, and you know what, and other suggestions when you're buying video production equipment or audio equipment. You know what? You should read the ratings. You should read the ratings like Amazon. Amazon put ratings are whereas you give feedback about what the individual thinks about the product that you want to use, whether you want a new camera, or you want a new audio mixer, or you want a new tripod. And Mr. Curtis has gave me some great information, but I still do research. It's like with this podcast that I'm doing right now. You have, people may say, hey, I'm doing okay. But you know what? It says, you don't know the trials and tribulations that I went to trying to find the best podcasting platform for me to come on, man. I tried StreamYard, I tried Melon, I tried so many. I couldn't even say all their names. You know what podcasting interface do you come on? I use, but was on StreamYard, and you know what? StreamYard was working for me. It was working, and you know what? It's pretty good. But I got to say something real stream because I'm doing a commercial for real stream. Okay, I got an affiliate link, so if y'all join real stream and get my link, what it'll help my platform to grow. But the thing is, I say that you have to experiment with so many different platforms, and StreamYard was working, but you know what? When they upped their price to almost $50 a month, I said, it made me to experiment. It made me to experiment, and I said, can't not. I don't knock StreamYard, but I would say to content producers out there, whether you're doing music or whether you're doing video, you know what? Do research and experiment. But you know what? Before you make a concrete decision to pay for a platform like StreamYard, a Real Stream, a Melon, and X, you know what? get the free version. Get the free version because you don't want to pay for it for the whole year. And you know what? You come to the conclusion, man, you know what? I don't even like this no more. You know what? So you better do your research. I don't mean better. I mean it's in your best interest to do your research. So what do you use? Do you use StreamYard? Do you use Melon? What do you use? And so that get back to the story. So what happened is that's how I spot, like I say, Mark Sims, a Viewpoint television show that used to come on Can TV in Chicago. He got me interested in YouTube, but it took a while. But I will say something. It was a heck of a learning curve. It was a heck of a learning curve. Now, everybody's not going to have that learning curve because you know what? There's some people that can, hey man, they see it one time, they got it. They got it. I get it. There's some people that can read it and they got it. I'm not that person. So, so I'm saying a lot about myself, but it is what it is, you know. But the thing is, what has gotten me where I am, first of all, oh God, but I say is the thing is you have to be persistent. You have to be persistent. But I tell y'all something, don't be discouraged. The people that are having a hard time, you know what, setting up their platforms and setting up their green screen and deciding what lights to get and how to shoot your camera, you know what? It takes consistency. It takes, and you can do it. You know what? I am I am an example of that. You know, even like if people out there looking, there's somebody that says, you know what, damn, all I got to do is look at it one time. Not me. I got to look at it two or three or four times. You know what? And I said, oh, that's how you do it. But it's great because you know what? Everybody has different thought patterns, and everybody learns differently. And because you got it on the first time, it doesn't mean you're better. You know what? You just grasp information at a different rate. And but the thing is, I think the main thing is to be persistent, and you know what, and don't let anybody stop you. Would any naysayer stop you from going out to produce your content? I don't care if you got to go out there with your phone, and you people have shot movies parts on iPhones. Okay, not gonna say Android. I don't even use Android, but I will if I have to. You know, my preference is Apple. That is my preference because Apple is like one ecosystem. So therefore, my phone is connected to my computer. My computer is connected to my phone. My phone is connected to my television. Who knows? Android may have changed. Maybe it's the same way, but I prefer Apple. You see, why do I prefer Apple? Apple computer over a PC, a Linux. I prefer it because I love Final Cut Pro. I use Final Cut Pro. What is Final Cut Pro? That's something that you use to do editing. Okay, Lord knows I had a hard time learning to do that. And what happened is when it's like a puzzle. We put a puzzle together. Okay, so when you finally put all your video together, your puzzle together, you have to finalize. You have to process. Okay, you have to process it and make it into a movie, a short clip. And the thing is, when you're doing video editing and you put this puzzle together of all your sequences, PCs are too slow for me. It's too slow. And you know what? I'm gonna where I will be shooting like in 4K. I know there's some people shooting in 8K. And what is 8K and 4K? That's the resolution of your camera. Okay. And the images and the lines that go across, like when you're looking at television. Okay, regular television, you can see all right. But if it's a high definition television, there are lines in it on that screen that you can't see, and it makes it look better. But if you get a 4K television, it looks better. Okay, so I'm going to invest in a camera that's 4K. Who knows? Maybe 8K. But most televisions, as long as you I think, as long as you shoot in 708 1000p, you're probably right. And I'm probably getting the numbers wrong. But the thing is, I don't think that the PC is good for content producers if rendering, putting that puzzle together, putting that film together, does not matter about you how long it takes to do, because if you editing and you putting together these puzzles out of this film this hour long, you rendering forever. See, I want to render. That's why I use the Mac, because the Mac computer, Apple computer, because it's much faster and it allows me the ability to just get to my next task. Okay, but tell y'all, for people that um thinking about buying a Mac computer, be sure to get exactly what you want, and you have to take in consideration that you cannot upgrade a Mac computer. Cannot upgrade it. Okay. But with the PC you can. Okay. But for me, for my money, and you should do, and like I said, you should not let, again, you should not let that stop you from producing content and becoming a editor, okay, a video editor. You shouldn't do that, you know. but it's like, man, when you get 1,000 subscribers, that's a milestone. Okay, you get 10,000, that's a milestone. It'd be a big milestone to me if I can get 10,000. Okay. But you get to 100,000. I don't I don't think I ever make it to 100,000. You get like I think like a silver plaque or something like that. If I ever make it that far, I get this silver plaque. I'm gonna hang that up on the wall. Okay. But YouTube is a great platform. And then if you get to 1 million subscribers, my God, you know what? That would be fascinating. That would be fascinating. But I, I'm shooting for 10. I'm shooting for 10,000. You know what? But the thing is, you have to be personable with your audience. You have to be consistent. Okay, and you have to be yourself. They want somebody that's authentic, not somebody coming in. Oh, this is Captain Riley. Oh, I make my money the hard way. I earn it. Now you have to be yourself, okay? And everybody is not going to watch your content. They are not. You know what? So what happened is you have to find out when you and you doing YouTube, you have to find out. First of all, I think it's important to find out what your passion is. And I think that you subscribe to make a great show, okay, to your general audience. Whether it's one person, 10 people, 1,000 people, 10,000 people, a 1 million people. I think that you should strive. And you know what? It takes work. It takes work, because I'm talking about the news. You know what? Because I don't have. There are people that just have niches. What is a niche? Okay. There's some people that just like to sew. They like to sew. That's all they would like to do. And you know what? They do shows about it. Okay. There's some people that love football, which is the Super Bowl list today, Kansas City and Philadelphia. And I'm taking Kansas City. And there's some people that just talk about football. Okay. That's a niche. Okay. There's some people that talk about comic books. Okay. And but for me, I think that probably would be easier to just to talk about one specific thing and look at all the aspects and all of the different variations. But for me, I am a news addict. I'm a news addict. I love the news. And the thing is, I think I can't really say that's the reason I'm not at 10,000 subscribers yet, because you look at somebody like Roland Martin, okay, and other people like that, they're giants. And I think shows like that, I'm gonna have to really start to sit down and just examine and look at their content. Because I've been rogue. I've been more or less just doing what I do, but uh, doing what I want to do and what I feel comfortable. But I'm going to change my model. I'm not going to change doing content about current news and news events. I'm still going to talk about Donald Trump. Okay. I'm going to talk about Joe Biden. I'm going to talk about the bird flu. Okay. I'm going to talk about tariffs. And basically, I have a news platform because I'm just a news junkie. And you know what? But perhaps I just experimented with something. I'm going to try to find out how to present the news in a different way. And I'm going to sit back and look at some of their content. And that's something I must admit that I really, really have not done. I've seen these shows, but you know how you see something, but you looking at it for enjoyment because you enjoy the content. But I've never really sit back and actually seen like Stephen A. Stephen A. has a great show. Okay, he talks about the news. Okay, who knows? He may run for president of the United States one day. He's a sportscaster in the United States of America. Okay, he will. But the thing is, I'm gonna sit back and examine their show because you know something. I want to sort of pull. I want to pull my count up in terms of subscribers for my YouTube, but I realized something. If it's one person listening to me, 1,000 people, 10,000 people, a million, you still should strive. You should be on a journey to make the best content that you possibly can. Okay. But I think maybe when now that I am what I am with my subscribers, I need to probably not model myself after someone like not a mentor because I don't know them, but I guess they could be a mentor more or less about watching their content. And that doesn't mean changing my content to exactly like their content. But the thing is, it has to have my style and flair. But check it, my mother used to say, you eat the meat and you throw away the bone. You know, everything is not for like they said on the Planet of the Apes. It was a movie about the Planet of the Apes. Uh, Taylor told Dr. Zayas in the Planet of the Apes, you want to strip me of? He said, I can take your brain out and you will be dissected it, but I can take your. He said, you want to strip me of my identity, you know? And the thing is, I don't think that you should ever be stripped of your identity. You know what? But you can watch other content and get better ideas. But the thing is, if you strip you of your identity, what's the purpose of you doing this? You know, you hide, and I think people like people that would be authentic. You know, even though listen to me, man. Listen to the English that I use. I mean, can't get on mainstream television. Cannot. You know, uh, on a regular basis. But maybe you can these days. You know, here and I say and that and all that. But you know what? That's just me. I think it's like what Frank Sinatra made a song. I got to be me. I got to be me. But I can look at other people's content and take the best of their content, but not losing your identity. And and once you lose your identity, what's your purpose of doing the show? So so this is how I started Underground Railroad, and this is how I started on YouTube. And who knows what the next journey is going to be? But I have a professor. You know, I was a student at Kennedy King, okay, in Chicago at 63rd Kennedy King. And what happened is, I believe I'm going to go back to school because he said, keep on learning. Keep on learning because technology is consistently changing. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to follow his advice. I got some encouragement from somebody at Can Television named Mr. Frazier. He's going back for his master's degree. He works at Can TV in Chicago. Yeah. Well, was 1300 South Woods. He gave me some encouragement. He said, "Man, going back to school." And you know what? I think I am gonna go back to. But I am gonna go back to school if I'm allowed to. If I'm allowed to, by the permission of God. So you know what? So this has just been a podcast where I'm just talking, and you know what? This has been great practice for me. You know what? I've been back here working with different backgrounds and bringing up things. But you know what? And to let you know, we're always looking for guests on the Underground Railroad podcast. And this is our telephone number. And I ask that you humbly, you know what, once I get this together, that you humbly make a donation to help me, okay, um, in my endeavor to make better podcasts and television shows by making a donation, or go to our store. I have a store called Shaymar Media where you can buy a T-shirt. Okay, I just had to put that in the description because I really didn't put a description because you know what? This started out as a practice session, and you know what? I'm glad that I did it, and I am so glad, like I say, to all of the content producers that do podcasts, and you are magnificent people, and I have learned a whole lot. It's something, man. Y'all are teachers. Okay, like I said, things that I did not know how to do that I know how to do now. And then if I forget something, tell you something. As you get older, you forget. And you say, "Oh man, I forgot how to do that." But you know what? Because your content or what you taught about video production or audio is in cyberspace. I can go back and say, "Oh, so and so was talking about that," and go back and look at that video, and then I could be refreshed. It's like taking a refresher course, you know. So I'm gonna say to the people that are listening, if there's one person that has been listening, only one, thank you, thank you, because you know what, you could have been doing something else, and you know what, I would say again. You should try for people out here that are new to YouTube, old to YouTube. Uh, if you have one follower, if you have 10,000 followers, if you have 100,000 or a million or 50 or three, try to make the best content that you can. And you know what? And be proficient, be consistent. Okay, because when you stop doing it for a long time, you forget certain things. So hey, I hope y'all enjoy the Super Bowl today. I'm taking Kansas City. I'm just a Patrick Mahomes fan. I'm so disappointed when the Bears did not draft him. It took Trubisky as a quarterback, but my Chicago Bears are not in it. So, but I'm still going to look. But like I say, it's out of habit. So I want to thank people who are listening. Hey, I guess I'll leave this up. Okay, I'll leave this up. I'll leave this. I wasn't going to leave it up, but I want to thank you to the one or five, whoever's listening, because you didn't have to listen. I appreciate it. Give me some feedback. If you want to give me some feedback, fine. If you don't, I'm appreciative to you just listening. It's to be seen in cyberspace. And to my grandkids out there, this is what your grandfather was doing. The grandchildren I'll never get to see in the future. This is what Clifton Bradley III was doing. Clifton Raheem Bradley. Okay? Uh, hey, who knows? One of y'all may take my place. I do this in the future, but this is for future generations. Okay? All right. Assalamu alaikum.